You looking for a fight right here? He asked. Why not? I snapped. He laughed, a little uncertainly. You would never morph here in the open. I don't need a morph to handle you. You know, maybe you forget this sometimes, but you are a girl, Rachel. And you're a worm, I shot back. Want to see who wins that fight? Pretty upset over that bird boy, aren't you? What, did you like him or something? He grinned. That's it, isn't it? Aw, how sweet. Too bad. But you know, birds have a short lifespan. So do worms. What are you doing? Trying to scare me? Nah, I wouldn't want to scare you. I just want to tell you something. You rat us out to Visor 3, we'll know. We have sources inside the Yerk organization. He made a snorting noise. Yeah, right. How do you think we knew the Yerks were moving against the president and the others? How do you think we learned that one of the heads of state was a controller? David looked a little less cocky. I could see the wheels turning in his head as he realized I was telling the truth. We hadn't told David about Eric and the other Chi. So see, you sell us out to Visor 3, we will know, I said. He shrugged. Big deal. Nothing you can do about it. Yeah, you're probably right, I said. Even if we were warned, we wouldn't last long. I leaned close enough to whisper in his ear. But some of us would last a while, you little creep. Long enough to make sure that your parents... Well, use your imagination. He stepped back, drew back his fist, and swung on me. I dodged the blow. I grabbed his head with one arm and jammed the fork against his ear. I felt a nauseating urge to twist the fork, to make him scream in pain. You want a war between you and us? That's one thing. We'll play that out, I said. But you try and sell us out to Visor 3, and your little family will never get put back together again. Never!
Forgive us now for what we done. Started out as a bit of fun. Here, take these before we run away. The keys to the gulag.
Last time on Animorphs. Things happened. And now back to the David Trilogy. So Rachel is dreaming about South Park, which will probably still be topical if the re-releases get this far. Before the dream can get into Mr. Hanky territory, Axe crashes into her room through the window and wakes her up. He informs her that Jake sent for her to help him take care of David the traitor, and that Tobias has been hurt, which, well, is putting it nicely. I felt my insides turn cold. For a few seconds that seemed to stretch into hours, I couldn't move, couldn't think. I just sat there with my deadly talons squeezing into the soft wood of my windowsill. Tobias? Dead? If David had hurt Tobias, I would... But what was the point in making threats? I didn't need to make threats. I knew what I would do. So did Jake. That's why he'd sent Axe for me. Rachel morphs Owl, and she and Axe fly over to the mall. As they do, Rachel recaps the situation to the readers. The leaders of the United States, France, Russia, Great Britain, and Japan were meeting at a secluded beach resort to work out a Middle East solution. Wait! What happened to Germany? So I said, yes, but if we illegalize the letter L, my name would be Tony Bear. Oh, you funny man. Well, thank you, Hashimoto. Oh, this is dreadful! What is wrong, Jospin? I had made delicious cream cookies for everyone, but now they are all gone. Well, there's only us 6 here, so one of us must have taken them. Who took the cookies from the cookie jar? Bill Clinton took the cookies from the cookie jar. Who, me? Yes, you. Couldn't be. Then who? Who took the cookies from the cookie jar? Boris Yeltsin took the cookies from the cookie jar. Who, me? Yes, you! Couldn't be. Then who? Who took the cookies from the cookie jar? Helmut Cole took the cookies from the cookie jar. Who, me? Ah, I knew it! It was you, Cole! It is always the Germans! That is totally uncool. If we cannot trust you with my delicious cream cookies, how can we trust you with the Middle East? Fine, I don't want to help the Middle East anyway, and your cookies were dreadful. Play 'em out, Mr. President! Oh, those wacky Germans. Anyway, Axe and Rachel reach the mall, where they see the carnage left by Jake and David's kitty battle. They fly through the broken skylight and discover Jake in tiger form on the upper level, unconscious and bleeding heavily. They demorph and try to stick close together to avoid an ambush from David, but an alarm in a broken jewelry store window causes them to split up when Axe goes to investigate. David comes out of hiding, still in lion morph, and takes a swipe at Rachel, but she has +2 to acrobatics and manages to throw herself off the railing onto a crossbeam, out of David's reach. David taunts her for a little bit and runs off. Police arrive from all the various silent alarms, and Rachel and Axmore fly and stick close to the scene, hoping the cops call a vet in time. They do, and Cassie's mom and dad, with Cassie in tow, arrive not long after. Cassie's mom recognizes the tiger as one from the gardens. And once she discovers it's still in the gardens, you know what that means? Skrull invasion! Rachel privately gives Cassie the lowdown, telling her to somehow wake up Jake so that he can demorph before his 2 hours are up. Without much else they can do, Rachel and Axe leave to hunt down David. On the way out of the mall, they overhear this. I could hear 2 police officers talking in a low whisper just on the other side of the AC unit. A tiger? Here? With no one knowing it's escaped? It must be one of the Andalite bandits in a morph. We knew the police force had been partially infiltrated by the Yeerks. Still, it was a shock hearing them talk about Andalites. You may be right, but there's nothing we can do about it. None of the other cops here are our people. Visser 3 won't take that attitude, the first cop said, shivering despite the fact that it wasn't cold. He'll think we should have found a way to kill it. Then maybe Visser 3 doesn't need to hear about this. Yeah. No need to bother him with every minor thing that goes on. Yeah, we keep our mouths shut. Yep, it's another one of those Yeerk fleshing out moments I love so much. You ever think the Yeerks get together around the water cooler and talk about the latest episode of Ally McBeal? Rachel and Axe decide to head to Marco's house, in need of extra bit of manpower they can get, and to make sure David hasn't gotten to him first. All the while, Rachel mulls over Jake's decision to have Axe get her first. Somewhere in the back of my mind, it bothered me that Jake had sent Axe to get me. Me, specifically. Once he knew that extreme measures might be taken, he said, "Get Rachel." What did that mean? Was that how Jake thought of me? As some crazed, violent nut who would do anything? No, of course not. He just knew I was good in a fight, that's all. It didn't mean anything. Besides, wasn't it true? Another part of my mind argued. Wasn't it true? Wasn't I just the person to call if you needed to kill an Animorph? For me, number 22, the solution, is when this whole trilogy thing falls apart. There's a number of reasons, but the main one is that we've suddenly decided that this story should be about Rachel, not David. David really stops being a character here and just becomes a taunting, sadistic bad guy. This book seems to suggest that the entire trilogy was building up to Jake telling Axe to get Rachel because she's the most capable at killing. It's not that this is bad character stuff. It's actually pretty good. But this isn't really the time for it. This is supposed to be David's story first and foremost, as it was in the last 2 books. Marco and Jake's internal problems never overrode the external story of the fallen Animorph, never got in the way of David's own character development and exploration. I have no idea why this book is doing so now. It's like K.A. Applegate really wanted to cover this ground before the Ghostwriter era began, but could only do so at the expense of the David Trilogy. Anywho, Rachel and Axe reach Marco's house and wake him up. only for him to grab a baseball bat and hit Axe in the face. Yeah, it's actually David morphed as Marco, with the real Marco tied up in the closet. David taunts Rachel some more in a very heel wrestler manner, then morphs to Golden Eagle and starts chasing her, and says she's in an owl morph. She is both slower and much less powerful than David, so shit creek and all that. Rachel tries to draw him into some power lines, but nothing doing. David grabs her and goes in for the kill. And that's when it happened. I saw it drop out of nowhere, out of the sky, out of the clouds it dropped. Wings back, talons raked forward. It hit David in the back of the head. Eagle feathers flew. David screamed in pain. And Tobias, yes, Tobias, said in private thought speak, Rachel, David is really getting to be a pain in the butt. David is forced to release Rachel and flies off. So yeah, it turns out it was just a random wild red-tailed hawk that David had killed earlier, and Tobias got lost somewhere around the city's one car wash. Off-screen, Cassie manages to revive Jake at the garden's medical office and helps him escape, causing a crap load of confusion when the nearly dead tiger found at the mall is suddenly back in its cage without a scratch on it. It's Tiger Jesus! He died for your samba! The next morning, the 4 school-going Animorphs meet up at the cafeteria, and Rachel is in horrible shape, having gotten no sleep. Oh, and Marco is David again. In Marco's form and in public, the Animorphs can't do anything about it. David demands they give the blue box over to him, but Jake points out that, even with morphing powers, the numbers aren't on his side. There are 5 of us, Jake said. I shot a look at Jake. He ignored me. I got the message. No need to tell David that Tobias had survived. The less he knew, the better. He didn't figure it out when a red-tailed hawk attacked him? I'd have figured it out. Anyway, David wants the box to ransom his parents out of your control, but again, nothing doing. David threatens to turn the Animorphs over instead, and then leaves in a huff. Rachel gets up to follow him. Cassie protests for a second, but Jake tells her to let Rachel go. Rachel threatens David with a fork, which I transcribed at the beginning of this video, and basically makes Rachel David's #1 target. Some people feel that David was crooked from the beginning. I never felt that. He had some personal problems, but I've known kids far nastier, far more selfish, far more crooked than David originally was. So David's transition from troubled kid to villain I find to be really sudden and jarring. It's like flipping the switch on the back from good to evil. I get he has partial motivations. He wants his family back. He doesn't like being bossed around. But those ideas are still half-baked. And instead of letting them ferment for one more book to a climatic showdown at the end, David just kind of became totally evil. I'm going to get more into this in the post-David Trilogy follow-up, but suffice to say, the most important part of this whole trilogy is, frankly, the most disappointing thing about it. Rachel feels like she's being used by Jake, that Jake is manipulating her feelings to be an extra aggressive weapon towards David. However, what she's really mad at is how much she's changed since becoming an Animorph, how much more lethal and dangerous she's become, and how much more that disturbs her. She spends much of the series turning a blind eye to that fact, but when faced with it head-on, it tears her up inside. Again, good stuff. Wish it was in a book that wasn't supposed to be about her. So there's still the whole banquet minus Germany thing to deal with, and tonight is their last chance to save the world leaders from your control. They go to Cassie's barn, but have to talk in code in case David is in Morph listening in. That night, they all fly over to the resort, demorph and remorph in the ocean, and commence with Operation Why the Hell Didn't We Do This the First Time?